us, well, if you buy this ball, you're going to shoot 200. Well, they're correct if you know how to use it. They never told you you still need to know how to bowl.
I think that's why it's important to even take the education that's available with the new balls. I know, being a part of Storm staff, we have seminars and we have instructional things when a ball comes out that pro shops can go there, and even just league bowlers can go and learn about the equipment.
Sure.
And it helps them so they don't think they're buying a hook in the box or an automatic 200 in a box.
And Brunswick did the same thing with our staff when we went over to these experience leagues. And I'm sure and Ebonite's done it. Let's give Ebonite a lot of credit. They've done a lot of seminars also, so ball demonstrations. And I see the manufacturers now looking at that, not taken out of the box type of attitude. I see them now starting to go after educating the bowler. It's like handing you and I the Indianapolis 500 car. We can't get it out of the parking lot.
That's right.
See, what good is it? I mean, it's a great car, but if you don't know how to use it, you can't even move it. So I think we've gone through different cycles in this sport, and now I think people are starting to see more and more the value of coaching. You take golf, you would never go out there and play golf without going to a pro and getting some instruction, especially if you want to get to any level. But in bowling, they told you if you can walk, you can bowl, you use this ball, you shoot 200. They made it look like you don't have to think, but it's far from that. It's the opposite. You have to be a great thinker to be a great bowler.
Very much so. And also a good benefit of who's drilling your equipment and who's laying it out for you as a,
Sure.
you know, when you go to your local pro shop, how good your pro shop operator is, how knowledgeable he is, how attached he is to the tour.
Yeah.
He will put a better product in your hand that will suit your game because, you know, for laying out balls, you can drill balls.
And we've got IPSIA for that. We've
Yep.
got people, organizations that now have educated the pro shop. The pro shop is more sophisticated today than it's ever been. I mean, we got some really good pro shops in our area and throughout the country, and you're absolutely right. Before, they'd throw 3 holes in the ball, and that was it. But now they lay out the pin, they know this, and they put an extra hole in there, and they can custom it to your game. They watch you bowl, they look at your ball track. I mean, it's become a very scientific sport, which it is.
You really have to take your time when you're dealing with a customer in a pro shop now to understand, you know, how they throw it, what they do, what they're expecting from the ball, what condition they bowl on, because every bowling center is different, even on house shots.
Yeah.
Some places hook, some places have a good amount of
It
oil.
depends on what time you bowl in the league.
Yeah.
You bowl the first league, a late league, early league.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing that's been difficult for me is bowling is a very scientific sport. It involves chemistry and physics.
Well, you've developed bowling balls yourself, right?
Yeah, I've made them, you know, from scratch. And it is the knowledge that these manufacturers have in making a bowling ball and making the same hardness and changing the coefficient of friction between ball and lane is amazing when you think about they're not even changing the hardness. And they can make the projection of the ball go down 30 feet, 40 feet, 20 feet, whatever. And that's what's giving you guys all this equipment. But nobody talks about the science. We have not pushed the word science in our sport. And if you look at our footprints, when we bowl, the approach, someone should make sensors so you can see if a guy's got balance. Is he on his toes too much? Is he on his heel? You know, I once asked people, how high should your heels be? And people can't answer that question. We take the shoes for granted. But depending on the balance of your body, your heels should be where they counterbalance your body for you as the individual. Somebody can use a 1/4 inch. I with Stefanich, he used the 1/2 inch heels because he used to lean way back. And that counterbalance, I have a tendency to lean forward, so if my heels are too high, I'm tipping over.
Right.
And nobody talks about there's so much science in this.
What type of shoes do you use?
Well, I'll tell you what. I was on Dexter staff last year, and they happened to let me go this year just because they cut back on players. They went from 10 staff players to 8. I still wear the Comfort 5s, and the reason why I like those is because they're flatter and a little wider sole. Ron Atkins from Etonic happened to send me a pair of shoes to try this summer, and I can tell they're a really high-quality shoe, and they're comfortable. But the biggest difference for me was they're higher off the ground, what you were talking about, the heels higher, and they sit higher like that, and it was very awkward for me walking to the line.
Who thinks about
that? And it would take me a while to relearn that walk
to
after
rebalance yourself.
Right, after learning to be so flat.
And what about our soles?
Yep.
We got to have soles. Every approach is different. Some are sticky, some are slippery.
And all these companies now with the shoes make them with Velcro, so they have adjustable, the top-end shoes where you can change different heels, heights, and different pads.
Years ago, I used to carry 6 left shoes with me, and people thought, this guy's wacky. Well, I was ahead of my time. Now they do it with 1 pair.
Yep.
They got different soles and heels there. And I did all that kind of technology because I always looked at the sport scientifically, and as a result, it made me think differently, see?
I think that makes Mr. Duke a winner.
Yep.
And Mr. Barnes is back in the match, making it 3-2.
For
and
Barnes.
while we were talking, Steve Jaros beat Mika. Steve Jaros is on the show.
Yep. And this should put Norm on the show.
Yep. But getting back to how you were talking about technology and educating, I was pretty fortunate. When I was on tour in the late 90s, Del Ballard, future Hall of Famer, happened to be our ball rep. And I had always been one that only concentrated on the bowling part, not the equipment part. And Del taught me about bowling balls and the importance of knowing the balls for yourself and knowing what each ball does and what it does for you. And as much as I learned, you still don't know everything.
Never will.
And that's why, I remember a storm. We have Chris Schlemmer as our ball rep.
Sure.
And, it's always nice to have another pair of eyes behind you and to have somebody who has researched the equipment and knows it backwards and forwards to help you with your ball choices. So anybody out there listening that needs a coach, whatever, find a pro shop guy you can trust. And that knows your game and will take the time to learn it because it will improve your game dramatically.
Right, and we have Brunswick got Rick Benoit, so and they're both highly intelligent.
Right.
Chris and Rick and Ebonite's got a person also. So, the ball reps understand the value of that. And again, like Del Ballard. Now, Del Ballard to me, he was way ahead of you guys as far as the contemporary release. Del Ballard had that roll. That ball used to just peel off his hand. I mean, when I first saw this kid, he took a white dot and hooked him. I mean, he was wonderful to watch.
I'm glad they changed the Hall of Fame rules this year to allow people that aren't retired to be inducted. Yeah. I felt like Norm and Dell and Randy Peterson should have been inducted before they changed the rules. So hopefully they get in this year. That'll be nice.
They deserve it.
Dell definitely deserves it. I owe a lot of my success to Dell, and it'll be nice to see.
So do a lot of other people.
Dell's one of the great guys in our sport.
And speaking of Dell, his wife's not a bad little bowler either.
No.
Carolyn, she's a tough. She's like you.
I'll tell you what.
She's tough.
I told her this last year. If I had to name 5 people who I'd want up in the 10th frame if they needed a strike, I don't care what gender you are, she's in my top 5.
She's one of them. You guarantee it. She's a clutch bowler.
Yes, she is.
Yes. But I did. Kathy interviewed Carolyn at the women's show that they did in Chicago, and she asked who's a better bowler, mommy or daddy, and it was daddy. It was the answer. So he's got her buffaloed.
Well, it depends on the condition. I'll get Dell an out. It depends on the condition.